Hey guys, how's it going? Dewey here, and today we're going to be doing another video in the Quick Shoot series, and this one is going to be the easy way to detail your engine bay. Now, I have my supplies right on over here, as you can see. It's not a whole lot of stuff. We'll kind of hit them up individually as we go along, but we're going to show you how to take an engine bay like this, which is relatively clean. There's really not a whole lot to be done here. That's why it's a good example to use as just my basic, I guess, cleanup method, you could say. Let me just walk you through the process of cleaning my engine here. Like I said, this is just a very basic process. There's not a lot involved here, and the best part about this is that it's relatively cheap as well. So there's not a lot to do. It's pretty clean as it is, but let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, so just kind of walk you through some of the basic supplies here. Pretty much everything's here except the garden hose, which I have over there. But as you can see, we have our cleaners. First of all, they're actually in these containers right here. Okay, they just have this brand name on them. It's not actually what's in them. Melco Red Thunder is going to be the detergent that we're going to use. This is going to be the workhorse of today's cleanup. And we have Chemical Guys V07. That's going to be kind of the it's going to kind of be the after, I guess you could say the after clean, just to kind of wipe everything down and make it look real good. We have a little can of compressed air, okay, not too bad. And we got, of course, this beast right here, a leaf blower. This one here is a, I think it's a 12 amp, I'm not sure, but 240 mile an hour wind speed, so that'll help us here, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Toothbrush, some Q-tips there, this for the disconnection of the battery, saran wrap, and our cloth. All right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do before you start any project like this is you wanna isolate the battery. So I've already gone ahead, I've already pulled the pins here to make that nice and easy. And what you're gonna wanna do is, of course, you can disconnect just the negative if you want, but I recommend actually just going ahead and just disconnecting the entire battery, because that is going to help isolate things so we don't get any unnecessary shorts. All right, so there we go. Now we've completely isolated the battery. In fact, what we're gonna do here is we're actually going to just go ahead and cover it back up, and then we're gonna cover these terminals here in a moment. All right, so now that we got that step out of the way, the next step that I do is I'll take this saran wrap over here, which you can use any saran wrap like this one. This one's from Great Value, so basically it's a Walmart brand. Personally, if you're really serious about doing this kind of job, get something industrial strength, like an 80 gauge saran wrap. Basically, it's just a sturdier construction, but this stuff should do just fine. This is actually a new pack, and we'll get going ahead and we'll get covering up the important things. All right, so what I usually like to cover up here is, well, I think some pretty obvious things. First of all, we want to cover this right here. Obviously, don't want to get that wet. There's also some other important bits here in the engine that we're going to cover up. Obviously, we're going to cover up those terminals, and then I'll just kind of stick them under that shroud there. Not a big deal. Some of the other things that I'm going to actually cover, the oil dipstick right here, I'm going to cover that just in case. In fact, I probably really, yeah, I'll wrap that for sure. And let's see, obviously the mass airflow sensor, we're going to cover up some of these electronics right here. Basically anything that could get harmed during this process, we're going to cover up, and that way we just have peace of mind when we actually go ahead and we clean. We're not going to be using any sort of power washer or anything like that. Like I said, you want your detergent to do the work for you so that you can simply just rinse it off with a nice stream of water, and you're not having to inject water into anything that it shouldn't be in. Now, the reason I like to use saran wrap like this, like plastic wrap, is because it's very clingy, and it actually makes a pretty decent seal. And by nature, you know, it is a polymer-based material, so it is waterproof, but it can be a pain to work with, as you can see. But yeah, and I'll even say this, you know, this isn't the good stuff. It's not my industrial strength one that I really like, but that's okay. It'll do for now. All right, so now that that's pretty much done, I've gone ahead and I've covered the surfaces that I really felt I needed to protect at least the most. You know, like I said, we're not really going to be running any high pressure water through here, so there's about one other thing I really wish I could wrap, which that would be the alternator, but I'm not going to bother with it this time. It's down there a little ways and it's a little bit hard to get to. Other than that, guys, let's go ahead, let's get the water on. All right, so the primary two settings that I'm going to be using here is going to be mist and it's going to be flat. So basically flat is going to give you something similar to that, and mist is, well, just what it is, mist. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mist this down, and then we can go ahead and we can get some of that Red Thunder detergent working on some of this dirt.
Once again.
All right, so now we got that wet down enough. Now let's go ahead and let's take some of our detergent right here. So let's go ahead, and now we're just going to want to do kind of the same thing as we did with the water, but we just want to spray it, I wouldn't say liberally, but just go ahead and just give kind of everything a fine, nice coating. Now I'm going to kind of be careful around those aluminum coil covers. I just hate putting too much detergent on them. And I'm going to kind of want to start working fast because the sun, unfortunately, is coming through the clouds here and part of the engine is exposed. So definitely don't want to have it dry on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to rinse it right off. And, you know, it is kind of a good thing, actually, that the sun is coming in on the engine. It's kind of really what I wanted, although I really didn't want it coming in this early, but it's just going to help dry everything off. Now, this here leaf blower, you know, honestly, I do recommend this one a lot. I know some people are probably going to ask which one I recommend. Honestly, this is a pretty good one. It's a Craftsman. I mean, I don't know. It was cheap. That was really the only reason why I bought it. It was less than $100. I think it was like 60 bucks. You still get the 240 mile an hour wind speed. It does require to be plugged in, which I guess kind of sucks, but you know what? It's under 100 bucks. I've seen guys recommend these things for jobs like this that are like $200, which is just ridiculous. You don't have to pay that much money for something like this. You just get something real cheap, and man, let's just go ahead and let's do this thing. By the way, I also use this for washing the car as well, which is going to be dirty after this, but yeah, it's really great. Now I'm just going to stop that just for a second to say that when you're doing something like this where you're drying and the engine's wet and everything, what you're going to want to do is make sure, first of all, that your plastic wrap stays in place, which it should, as long as you've got the angle correct. So you should be actually more or less coming down like this, or even from the side, as long as you don't catch something like this on the side where it's going to then lift that up. But for the most part, you know, don't get this too close. You don't want to be sticking this right down in engine components or anything like that. You just want to kind of keep a nice distance and then take the water off that way. Because you got to remember, you can always just go back and just use your cloths if you have to. This is just to speed up the process, make things a lot easier. All right, guys, so that'll pretty much do it. I kept it on the lowest speed possible. You know, again, like I said, don't want to be getting anything forced into anywhere where it shouldn't. Kept my distance, and there we go. It's fairly dry for the most part. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, we're going to let it dry off for a few more minutes, just kind of air dry, let the sun hit it a bit more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Chemical Guys V07 and we're just going to wipe everything down, because, you know, typically you are going to have hard water spots. You can already see right here the Mustang was totally clean before, but now you can see the water spots there, which really sucks. But yeah, we want to give it that nice shine and get rid of any excess water spots. So we're going to hit it up with the Chemical Guys here in just a moment. All right, guys, now it's time to use the Chemical Guys V07. And basically what we're going to do with this is, like I said before, we're just going to kind of wipe things down. We're going to make sure we can get rid of all of these nasty water spots so we can shine things up real nice. So this is probably the most labor intensive part of this entire detail, which shouldn't really take that long. I got some extra things to help me out if I need it, like, you know, again, the toothbrush, those cotton swabs. So really we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to hit it up with Chemical Guys, and it should look real great at the end of it. One thing I am going to do before I get started is going to go ahead and remove the saran wrap And as you can see, we're looking pretty good right there. Not too bad. And as you can see, these components did stay nice and dry. Of course, they still got a little bit of dust on them and that, but that's what we're going to kind of use the brush for, and that little can of compressed air. Just kind of spray some of that off. We're still going to hit it up with the chemical, guys. It's perfectly fine as long as we don't get it too wet. And I'm actually going to leave this on simply because I do not want to, have it exposed to the open air where all the, large particulates and that can kind of get in there. So I'll just keep it covered for right now. Actually just like to take a cloth like this and just kind of wipe off a little bit of the excess. Now obviously if you have an air compressor, that would obviously be the preferred method, or I could just take the leaf blower, I guess. But I don't know, just for little fine details, I just like to use one of these. They are pretty expensive, so just kind of watch out for that. And right down in there, guys, is a real good place to use a Q-tip like this. All you do is just spray it with a little bit of chemical, guys, and I just get it right down in there just like that. Hope you guys can see that. Hope I got the camera pointed in the right direction. I know this is pretty OCD right here. Maybe not every person is going to want to do this, but I think it just adds a little nice extra touch just to get all down in there. I mean, you're already going through all of this extra work to just wash it in general, which most people don't do. So hell, why not just go all the way and just hit this up before too much dirt gets collected, and you really thank yourself for the next time you do this because you won't have to do so much. Now guys, I'm actually going to get the battery compartment on a later date. This would probably be a good time just to go ahead and hit it up, but I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be getting a lightweight battery for this car anyway here in the future. So you know what, I'm just going to let the bay there where the battery sits go for right now. I'll hit it up when I change the battery out. All right, guys, well, that is pretty much it. We're done, and man, it does look really, really good. I hope it translates on camera pretty well. Man, I tell you, it's really, really simple. That whole process took me less than an hour to do. It was so simple, so easy. Now, the two final things we have to do is, number one, we're gonna actually take this off. Now, if you have a cold air setup like this, when you do take it off, some of the water may have pooled down here, down the center. So you wanna make sure when you take it off that you take it off in on itself to capture that water, because you really don't wanna get water down in there. That wouldn't be too good. And then finally, we'll take off the plastic wrap on those battery leads. We'll reattach everything, and that'll be it. All right, so this is where we'll take some of that chemical, guys, and we'll just wipe this down a bit. All right, guys, well, that's it. That's all there is to it. Pretty simple, like I said. A couple things I'm gonna do, actually. First of all, I gotta find this little rubber piece here. I don't know where that went. I know when I was using the blower there, I think that piece kind of fell off. Not that I need it. If I can't find it, I'll just pull the rest of these rubber tabs off just to kind of make it look even. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, make sure to leave it in the comments section. Like I said, this is just my guide to just a simple and easy process for an engine detail. Really appreciate y'all for watching. Please subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next one.